guys, it's Pastor Chelsea, and you're watching The Thursday Show. And if you can't tell, I'm feeling a little bit Christmassy today. I thought it would be appropriate, as we're entering the holiday season, to talk about Operation Christmas Child, which is an awesome organization we've partnered with for years as a church. And in order to have that conversation, I thought it'd be good to bring in a guest. So we have Jeni Wurmlinger with us today, who has been our lay leader organizing this for years. So let's welcome Jeni. All right, we have Jeni Wurmlinger here with us. Jeni, tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing Operation Christmas Child, why this ministry is important to you. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Hi, Chelsea. Thanks for having me. Well, I would say I had to guess, we had to talk about it. I would say maybe about 12 years ago, we started to get involved with Operation Christmas Child. We were challenged once at church, and one of our kids brought up being the hands and feet of Jesus together as a family. And our best friends at the time, Dan and Leanne Palmentier, were trucking these boxes every year down to Detroit area, actually. And so we started to join them. And then eventually we just kind of were able to take over that program. And then we became drop-off center in Lakeport. And then our church, Colonial Woods Church, was able to become a drop-off center. And Mike and I and our family were able to kind of spearhead that and head that up. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So Operation Christmas Child has been something you've been a part of for a long time then. And the mission is basically to spread joy to kids in other countries all over the world who maybe wouldn't afford a Christmas present or wouldn't receive anything. Is that kind of the idea?
Yes. We've been enjoying watching some videos of stories. And so one story I suggest that you all look up with your families is the story of Kwale, Kwale. And it's just a little couple minute video, but he told a story of where he lived. You were not able to go to school unless you had shoes. And so he would go to school and they wouldn't let him come in. And he was just so saddened. And so his mom was a believer. And so they just prayed that the Lord would make a way for him to be able to go to school. And so eventually he just became so kind of depressed, and he was even considering just running away from home and maybe joining some gang activity. And so he and his mom had a prayer time together, and this Operation Christmas Child came to their church that they attended. It was an outdoor church. And so he said in the video, "I went to church because my mom went to church, and you have to do what your mom says." And they had the shoebox time. So he got a shoebox and took it home. And of course, there was a pair of shoes in there that were exactly his size. And so as the video goes on, Operation Christmas Child made a video about he and his mom. He began to, when the children get together to get a box, they have something called the Christmas Journey. And they have almost like a vacation Bible school type setting. And he decided to become one of the teachers for the smaller children in that. And in that video, they shared at the end of the video that Kwale's father, during the process of them filming he and his mom's story, his heart was softened and he accepted Christ. So,
oh, wow.
So I encourage you to go on, and there's tons and tons of stories to watch with your kids or yourself that are so touching, where the Lord just meets the need in that box. And one thing he said in his video was, "My faith increased because I knew God does not come too early or too late." So that was so precious. And
that's such a good reminder for us all this year. I think, I think everybody's faith is hopefully being strengthened, but a little bit being tested. But that story reminds me of just a verse that I think is so appropriate in this Christmas season altogether. It comes from Galatians chapter 4, and it says, "But when the right time came, God sent his son, born of a woman, subject to the law. God sent him," talking about Jesus, "to buy freedom for us who were slaves to the law, so that he could adopt us as his very own children. And because we are his children, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, prompting us to call out, 'Abba, Father.' So we are no longer slaves, but God's children. And since we are his children, God has made us heirs." And I love how it starts out with, "But when the right time came, God sent Jesus." He didn't send him early. He didn't send him late. He sent him at just the right time. And I think we need to remember that God knows what he's doing when it comes to timing. But I love like hearing stories like that where it shows that God's using his timing, even with prompting somebody to pack a shoebox that then gets sent over to exactly the right person at exactly the right time that has exactly what they need. And you've told me there's so many stories out there like that where it's like, it's just incredible to see how God is providing miracles through these shoeboxes to kids who need something specific, and then suddenly God provides it through a shoebox.
Yes, yep, exactly.
Well, so how would people go about packing a shoebox this year? I know some things are a little bit different and they've got a lot of options for how they could pack a shoebox. So Jeni, kind of walk us through, maybe first tell us what kind of things go in a shoebox, and then we can tell everybody how to pack one if this is something they want to do.
I actually printed something out so I can give you exact info, but you can go on Operation Christmas Child. There's so many fun videos for kids on there, printables, all kinds of things. But basically, it's broken down by girl or boy in age groups. And so just some highlighted things would be a wow item, which, you know, Christmas morning, you know, your kids love to get that wow item and not just pajamas or so like a toy or dolls or things. A personal care item, that really is turning out. I've heard so many stories about maybe a family was sharing one cup in their home and they all got a cup in their washcloths, bars of soap, clothing item. Obviously the shoes is a great story, but shirts, pants, flip-flops. There's a great story of a little boy that got a pair of winter gloves in his box, and he was in a very tropical area. And within that year, he was adopted to Minnesota during wintertime, and he had those gloves. And so that was just crafts and activities are always colored school supplies. Right now, I've seen so many clearance sales, even on fun school supplies, toys. And so you can go on the website. It even has some fun videos with some of the Sesame Street characters packing a box. And then my favorite thing for this year, on Operation Christmas Child's website, you can go on and virtually pack an entire box that lets you choose like toys, hygiene items, and there's a suggested donation for that for $25, and they will pack that for you. So, and our church is going to offer boxes. You can go to the dollar store and get plastic boxes. You can use a good old-fashioned shoebox. So there's all sorts of options, and maybe you want to talk about some of the things the church is going to offer for that.
Yeah, so even though we're, as a church, kind of closing the offices for the next 2 weeks, we still want to make those shoeboxes available so people can pick those up. If you go over to the church office entrance, there's those double doors. We're going to have shoeboxes and we're going to have brochures available in between the double doors. So you can just go in, grab as many shoeboxes as you plan to pack, and those are first come, first serve. So go and grab one if that's something that you want to be a part of. And then our drop-off week, because we are a drop-off site, is November 16th through, what's the end date on that, Jeni? Do you remember?
Through that following Monday. And then if you go on the Operation Christmas Child, there's a space where you can put our zip code in, and it will give you all the drop-off hours. We're going to be under the carport. You can drive up. It's going to be curbside. We will have a little code. If you have a smartphone, you can just hover that over, type in your info, give us your box, and drive away. If you don't have a smartphone, we will have one there to provide, and you'll just dictate the information to us, or we can do good old-fashioned pen and paper filling out. So you won't have to get out of your car, and you can just drop it off. Someone will come to your car and get it. We will have masks on, and you'll be set to go.
Perfect. So curbside drop off the 16th through the 23rd at Colonial Woods. Even if you don't attend Colonial Woods and you still want to do a shoebox, we're a drop off site for that. So come be a part of it. We're keeping it super safe and easy for everybody to be a part of. You can grab your shoeboxes from the church offices, or like Jeni said earlier, you can just use one of those like plastic shoebox size bins that you can get from any store. And I love that other option, Jeni, you mentioned, or you can pack a shoebox virtually. If you don't even want to get out to the store and pick stuff up because maybe you're just really staying at home, you can still be a part of this. And I think you said it was like $25 to pack a shoebox,
Yep.
which is actually a pretty good deal. I think I usually spend more than that when I try to pack one myself.
Right.
So that's pretty great that you can do all that just online. So we'll put links with this video so you guys can find all that information. We really hope that you'll consider packing a shoebox this year. It makes me think a lot about even just Pastor Phil's sermon this past weekend, where he talked about what kind of shadow are you casting? What kind of impact are you leaving on the people around you? And when we do something like this, we usually get to see the results of it or the fruit of it. But God is using this ministry and these shoeboxes to provide miracles for people all around the world. And so how cool that we can leave an impact or cast a shadow on somebody we may never get to meet, but that we've been able to change a life. And so I really encourage you guys to consider doing this. It's a great family activity, a great solo activity. So we hope you'll consider packing a shoebox this year, and maybe you'll get to see Jeni's smiling face out there if you drop it off at our church. Well, thank you, Jeni, so much for telling us all about this and joining us today. I'm so thankful for the part you're playing in our church by doing this ministry. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the Thursday show. If you have any questions at all about packing a shoebox, feel free to reach out to myself or to Jeni, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. Well, Jeni, I think that's all we have for this week. So I guess we'll say so long to our friends, and we'll see them next week.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Thanks, Jeni. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.